really, right? It's sort of the same thing as a child. You see, when we are babies, our parents facilitate us in label making, turning us into label making machines, right? Where's your nose? Good job. That's your nose, right? Where's daddy? Right? And you stumble around and finally figure out that you associate daddy with, that thing, that entity over there with whiskers and whatnot, or, you know, you see what I mean though? We are taught to be label making machines from a very early age. Everything in our environment needs to have some sort of label. And then you forget that you're a label making machine and you begin to walk through life as though you actually are perceiving reality when what you're really doing is you are perceiving something that then part of you goes, the label is, and it pulls it out of the labeling filing cabinet, slaps it on that for you, and you think you're perceiving reality. But
Hmm.
are you? Are you is the question. Hmm? If you, Sam, could take your consciousness and jump right inside Hannah's consciousness, right? Hannah's body, Hannah's organs, yeah? And you look at the fireplace, do you think you would see it the same as you do now?
Um, I'm not sure.
Good question, though, isn't
Mhm.
it? Right. So the fact that you're not sure means that you can't agree that reality is really there, or it's the same for her as it is for you, right? If you could just transplant yourself into her, you're not sure if you would perceive reality the way that you do now. You may look around and not recognize a damn thing. Huh?
Yeah.
You may be hearing sounds and not be able to understand what they are. You have no labels for them, right? Because the labels are indigenous to her consciousness. And maybe she sees that the way you would see, an apple, for example. Hmm?
Yeah.
Now she can hold it. I mean, you can both describe it in the terms that you've been taught to describe it as, but when you get down to it fundamentally, if you were to switch consciousness, you might see that the way you see an apple now, and she might see that as, something else entirely, giraffe or
Hmm.
whatever. You see.
Yeah.
So yeah, time. Go ahead.
I was watching something yesterday evening,
Okay.
and it was, I can't even remember what it was about now, but part of it said that it was like a documentary that some women, not all, but some, have more cones and rods in their eyes and can perceive colours that other people cannot see.
Sure.
Not all women, it was just
Sure.
some, but women
Yeah.
more than men.
There's a high population of people that can see more shades of green in your part of the world, including Ireland, than there are here. Yeah. If you look at a scale going from, a very lime green to an olive drab type of green, and I asked you to pick out, where each color individually kind of was in that sort of thing, you would probably, just because you're, from the part of the world that you're from, would be able to name twice as many, or not even name, but identify, right? This is slightly different from this, that's slightly different from that.
Mm.
Uh, More than twice as many as I would be able to. Hmm.
Hmm.
Back in time, only the Egyptians could see blue. Hmm. Did you know that? It
No.
wasn't a
No.
color that most people could see. So, right, there's a color floating around. You can look it up. There's references to it, but that's why they were so, enamored with the lapis lazuli, lazuli. I can't say that word ever. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Right? That blue. Yeah, they're enamored with it. The Sumerians could also see it, but everyone else around couldn't see it. So, it's just another stone to them. So
Yeah.
you're right. It does. It has to do somewhat with the biology and somewhat with our ability to attach labels to things that we see.
Hmm.
Now, can you get yourself into a state of mind where you can look around the room And every object that you see in your vicinity, no name to it, it's just a force field. I mean, right? Science fiction writers always want to create this force field. Well, shoot, we have them. We even have transparent ones. It's called glass. Right? Because when you break it all down, there's really not much there. You can say, "Oh, but Pierce, it's it's composed of silicone molecules," and I'll say, "Yeah, you're right." And what's that made of? And you get down into the the muons and the quarks and the okay, what are those made of? Strings. Okay, well, what are strings? Well, strings are one-dimensional entities that vibrate. Yeah. Hang on a minute. If they're one-dimensional, how do we end up with 3 dimensions? How do you make something 3 dimensional out of a bunch of little things that are one-dimensional? Well, you can't, right? But apparently you can, because we have what we call reality around us. But when you break it all down to what it is fundamentally, you're dealing with just energy everywhere. Some of it is frozen and looks like a force field, feels like a force field, can't pass through it. Other, like the lights, is in motion. What's that composed of? What's the light composed of? Do you see where I'm going with this? I told you I want you to question your perceptions a little bit. And the reason why I'm heading down this track is because in order to be able to get to something like the way, you have to be able to see through the illusion. You have to be able to see through the illusion of the physical reality. Now, does it mean it affects you? Yes, it does. The illusion does affect you because that's how we are wired and programmed. Guess what? You have a force field that you carry around with you. It's called your body. And that force field interacts with other force fields. So you have it, but what's real is not that. It's the consciousness aspect of it.